Dobry wieczór. Tutaj William. Witajcie na cotygodniowym podsumowanie Polskiej wiadomości ze mną, William Murphy. Headlines over the past week have included: the suspense ends as to the future domestic political ambitions of Donald Tusk, as he announces he won't contest the presidency. President Duda names former defence minister and Solidarity-era activist Antoni Macierewicz as Senior Marshal of the Sejm. And the European Court of Justice rules that the now amended changes to judicial retirement ages broke European Union law, amid new controversy over Prawo i Sprawiedliwość appointments to the Constitutional Tribunal. On Tuesday, one of the major questions of Polish politics was answered, with the announcement by Donald Tusk, whose term as President of the European Council expires at the end of this month, that he won't challenge Andrzej Duda for the presidency in next May's elections. Opinion polls had indicated that Duda would beat him in a second-round runoff. Tusk told reporters in Brussels that, "I will not run in the upcoming presidential election. I am announcing this decision today because time is pressing, and I don't want to hinder the opposition in any way in the process of selecting candidates." Platforma Obywatelska had already been considering holding a primary election to elect the presidential candidate, unless Tusk, who would have been an automatic choice for them, was interested. Tusk said that the opposition needed a candidate free from the baggage of difficult, unpopular decisions, admitting that he was, as he put it, burdened with such baggage from his term as Prime Minister from 2007 to 2014. Prawo i Sprawiedliwość have reaffirmed their support for the re-election of President Duda, who is widely expected to stand for a second term. Tusk is tipped to become the new head of the centre-right European People's Party. The question now for Platforma Obywatelska will be whether to proceed with a party primary election to select a candidate or go for an opposition-wide vote. One opposition politician who is certainly interested in standing is the Polish People's Party leader, Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz. The Polish People's Party, in alliance with Kukiz-15 as the Polish coalition, performed stronger than expected in the recent parliamentary election. The party held a press conference on Sunday, at which Kosiniak-Kamysz put himself forward as a candidate, but said that he was prepared to stand aside if someone more worthy of honour was put forward by an opposition alliance. With the opening of the new parliament approaching and the opposition's majority in the Senate to date holding firm, the leaders of Platforma Obywatelska, the Democratic Left Alliance and the Polish People's Party met on Tuesday evening in Warszawa to discuss the composition of the Senate Presidium. The SLD leader, Władimir Czarzasty, said the talks will be continued, stating that things are moving forward, but a few details still need to be refined. The leaders had previously met to discuss the Senate in late October, after the opposition won a 51-seat majority in the upper house in the recent elections, with the support of 3 independents. Czarzasty said the atmosphere at the meeting had been good. It was announced on Tuesday that President Duda has nominated the controversial former defence minister, Prawo i Sprawiedliwość Sejm member and leading figure in the resistance to communist rule, Antoni Macierewicz, as the Senior Marshal of the new Sejm, and Barbara Boris-Damianska as the Senior Marshal of the Senate. Reacting, Macierewicz said he would carry out his duties with a sense of responsibility for Poland's entire struggle for independence and the Polish nation's decision expressed in the recent elections. A presidential spokesman said that the president very much wanted, just like in 2015, to nominate as the Senior Marshal of the Sejm someone who had a strong anti-communist past, someone who had accomplished much for Poland, especially this year, which marked the 30th anniversary of the first partially free elections. Hence the decision to make Mr. Antoni Macierewicz the Senior Marshal of the Sejm. The first session of the new Sejm will be opened by the Senior Marshal, appointed by the President from among the oldest MPs, although not necessarily the oldest. The Senior Marshal conducts the members' oath-taking ceremony, as well as the election of the new Marshal of the Sejm, who then takes over the chairmanship. The Senior Marshal of the Senate is the oldest senator by age. The Prawo i Sprawiedliwość deputy spokesperson, Radosław Fokiel, described Macierewicz as a figure extraordinarily accomplished in the fight for the restoration of independence. He added that Macierewicz was one of the founders and most active members of the democratic opposition, co-founder of the Workers' Defence Committee and a long-serving member of the same. On Monday, the European Court of Justice ruled that the Polish government's controversial 2017 judicial reforms in respect of changes to retirement ages for judges broke European Union law. The court said that Poland failed to fulfil its obligations under EU law, first by establishing a different retirement age for men and women who were judges or public prosecutors in Poland, and second, by lowering the retirement age of judges of the ordinary courts while conferring on the Minister of Justice the power to extend the period of active service of those judges. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs pointed out that the ruling was irrelevant, as the law has subsequently been amended. The judgment is on an historical state of play and does not reflect the current regulations. The Ministry said that the concerns of the European Commission, who brought the issue to the ECJ, had already been addressed by an amendment made to the law in April 2018. Under that amendment, the retirement age was equalised for men and women, and the right to extend the period of active service was transferred from the Justice Minister to the National Council of the Judiciary. Poland has maintained that the case should have been dropped once the changes were made, with the Foreign Ministry statement saying there is no justification for the complaint not being withdrawn. The ruling was along expected lines, following an earlier ruling in June. Speaking of judicial matters, the term of office of 3 judges of the Constitutional Tribunal, which decides on the constitutionality of laws, expires on the 3rd of December, and this week there has been strong opposition criticism of the government's choices to replace them. 2 of the candidates are former Prawo i Sprawiedliwość parliamentarians, and the third is a former Deputy Finance Minister. Responding to the appointments, Marcin Czerwiński, a Platforma Obywatelska parliamentarian, said that this is the destruction of the Polish justice system. They are to turn off the lights in the independent Constitutional Tribunal. The appointments must be approved by the new Sejm, where the ruling bloc has a majority. Whatever about the claims made about judicial independence in Poland, the recent dismissal of recount requests made by Prawo i Sprawiedliwość for Senate constituencies by the Extraordinary Control and Public Affairs Chamber of the Supreme Court would appear to point in the opposite direction. Polish tourists and business people can travel to the United States without visas from November the 11th, President Duda announced at a press conference in Warszawa on Wednesday, adding that it was symbolic that visas were to be lifted on Polish Independence Day. President Trump had confirmed the move last month without specifying a date for the new rules to come into force. In a story of great financial interest to many Polish Swiss franc loan holders, and also one with implications for the financial health of Polish banks, on Monday the so-called Jubak case, involving a Swiss franc denominated loan, was deferred in the Polish courts for 2 months, following a request by Poland's Human Rights Commissioner for time to examine the case files. The case had returned to the Polish courts after a ruling by the European Court of Justice. The Polish court will have to decide whether the couple's Swiss franc denominated loan agreement should be invalidated. The case will next be heard on the 3rd of January. Since the recent ECJ ruling in favour of the Jubaks, court cases in Poland involving borrowers holding Swiss franc denominated loans, seeking to have their loan agreements cancelled or modified, have predominantly gone in favour of the borrowers. On Monday, parliamentary leaders from the Visegrad Group countries, including Poland, signed a joint declaration urging fellow EU leaders to commence membership negotiations with Albania and North Macedonia. On Monday, it was also reported that a Russian diplomat, the Deputy Consul General in Poznan, was expelled from Poland in March and also banned from the EU Schengen area. The TVP Info website said he conducted activities incompatible with his diplomatic status, which could have harmed Polish-Russian relations. All Saints' Day on November the 1st and All Souls' Day on November the 2nd were particularly significant events for many Poles, with millions of people travelling often long distances to visit family graves, laying wreaths and lighting candles. In connection with the occasion, around 250 actors, journalists and public figures collected a record 280,000 zloty in the annual fundraising ceremony to restore historic tombstones in Warszawa's Powązki Cemetery. There was some reduction in the road carnage over the long weekend this year, with police reporting 25 fatalities and 346 injured in 268 accidents, down from 48 fatalities last year. A World Anti-Doping in Sport conference has been taking place in Katowice this week and was addressed by President Andrzej Duda, who said that the fight against drug cheats is a never-ending struggle. The meeting of the World Anti-Doping Agency saw Poland's sports minister, Witold Bańka, officially confirmed as the agency's new head from January the 1st next year. Poland looks set to record a record number of visitors in 2019, with officials estimating the country will see 21 million visitors from abroad. Officials have reported that visitor numbers were up 9% in the first 6 months of the year to 9.67 million, spending an estimated 29 billion zloty or €6.8 billion in the country. The head of the Polish tourism organisation said that if the trend from the first half of the year is sustained, or even if it's slightly lower, we will cross the magical mark of 21 million foreign tourists, and we have never yet had such a number in Poland. There was a disturbing report in the Belfast Telegraph newspaper this week concerning a florist who fears his shop was attacked because he has Polish workers. According to the report, the front windows of Floresco Flower Company in Kilkeel, County Down, were smashed on Sunday by an unknown man who had an accomplice with him. The owner told the Telegraph that the incident had scared the life out of the elderly landlady who lives above the premises. He claimed that the attack felt targeted because 2 of his shop workers are Polish nationals. Red and white lights will light up Cork City Hall on Friday evening in honour of Polish independence. The venue will hold a celebratory free event starting at 5 p.m. The Polish flag will be flown from the building as part of the event. An exhibition on Poles who fought in World War II will be unveiled by the Lord Mayor, Councillor John Sheehan, during a special ceremony. It will be displayed in the City Library on Grand Parade. The exhibition is called Fighting and Suffering and is an international project by the Museum of the Second World War in Gdansk and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Warszawa. The All Together for Independence event in City Hall will be attended by the Minister of State David Stanton, the Polish Ambassador Anna Sohanska, and representatives of Cork's Polish community. Cork's Lord Mayor, Councillor John Sheehan, said that we are delighted to host Polish independence celebrations here in City Hall for the 2nd year running. The Polish community in Cork is such a lively and engaged part of our city, and we have so much in common, including great pride in our respective national heritages and history. Toszewsku na Cięcidzin. Zapraszam na kolejne podsumowanie Cięcidzin o tej samej porze. Dobranoc.